There's a new tool inside of Photoshop CS4 that a lot of people miss when it comes to hue and saturation, and it's called a target adjustment tool. All right, so let's go into our hue saturation dialog box. I can press Command U on the Mac or Control U on a PC, and you're going to see there's a little hand down here. Okay, now we'll come into hue saturation and we can crank up saturation, and what it's going to do is crank up the saturation of the whole entire image that we're looking at. And that's not always what we're looking for. In this example, it actually works pretty good, but when I start to go to an extreme level, you'll see things start to deteriorate pretty bad. Okay, so not quite what we want. We can also change the hue, but again, it's changing the hue of everything in the photo, not anything specific. So we have to be careful there too. All right, well, this little hand down here, this is your target adjustment tool. And what it does is when I click on it, now I can put my cursor over part of the image, and then I can just move back and forth, and I can change the saturation of that part of the image. Now, it's kind of like coming up here and choosing a color, because I can pick on reds, and now I can change the saturation of the reds in the photo. Right? I'm not changing the saturation of anything else. I can change the hue of the reds in the photo. Same thing, let's go here to cyans. Okay, and I can change that saturation. Notice it's really just affecting this area up here. Okay, and I can also change the hue of that area as well. So it's kind of the same thing as coming up here and doing that, but a lot of times you're not quite sure exactly what color's there, and sometimes your eyes fool you. Sometimes you think, grass is green. Well, a lot of times when we're working with grass, we also have to modify the yellows as well. Okay, if we really want to get in there and target those areas. So we can use this little target adjustment tool. Just click. We can drag back and forth here to adjust the saturation. We can do the same thing on the hat here. Come over here to some of the blues. You'll see it does the blues, and it doesn't affect anything else in the photo. Okay, here's a little shortcut for you. Is that, I shouldn't say shortcut, it's kind of a workaround, because notice that it's only affecting the saturation. What about if you want to change the hue? Well, if you want to change the hue, you'll hold down your Command key on the Mac or your Control key on a PC, and then I'll click on it, and notice now it changes that hue slider. Okay? So it goes back and forth. And as far as lightness goes, it looks like they just didn't like lightness because they didn't give us a keyboard shortcut to come in here and to adjust the lightness. So we can do saturation and hue, and that's really most of the ones that you're going to use. Now, I'll give you a couple other little tips inside of this dialog box here. For example, as you're dragging this, okay, notice that it's going notice how fast it goes, okay? So I'm just moving back and forth with my mouse here, okay? Well, sometimes it's going pretty fast. Like sometimes I can't really get a very fine-tuned number with it. If I hold down the Option key on the Mac or the Alt key on the PC, it slows it down. Now I can very easily just increase by 1% here or decrease by 1%. Again, I'm going to let go right now. Okay, and now I'm trying to go down by 1, but you see how it jumps? It's just really hard to do because the smallest moves make it change very quickly. Okay, and then if you throw the Shift key in there, then it just goes crazy. If you throw the Shift key in there, it's like bam, bam. Just the smallest moves go back and forth through the whole thing. Okay, so I'm not so sure that that's all that useful. Just might want to keep in mind that it's there, but it's not something that I use a whole lot. But I definitely do throw the Option or Alt key in there because there's a lot of times where I want to just get a little bit more fine-tuned with it. And if I throw that key in there, it lets me just slow the change down that's happening over here inside of the sliders. Okay, so give it a try if you got Photoshop CS4. It's definitely an easier way of working with some of the colors on your photo because you don't have to concentrate on which color you want to work with. You just let the tool do the work for you.